I've already got myself demonetized on the delimited ads anyway by putting that song in by Paloma Faith. Only love can hurt like this. That's absolute nightmare. Straight off the bat, we're in trouble. How are you? Welcome back to the Spurs Talk Show. Oh, it's an absolute nightmare to get things going. You hit the wrong button and you know what happens. Ladies and gentlemen, we are bringing back the second episode of Shameless. And usually it's Tuesday nights at 9:45, especially when the Champions League and the European football and all that malarkey is going on. That's why we could have gone live early, but we're not. We're going live at 9:45. But because Sava finished early, we're going to live at 9:30. Sava's joining in a minute. Henry's joining in a minute. We've also got another fourth guest on the show tonight. I've managed to squeeze his name into the title, but I haven't been able to squeeze his face into the thumbnail. I'm going to bring him in early because these two are not. The other two aren't here. How you doing, Jacob? What's crack-a-lacking, bro?
Hello. That was quite the intro video after your countdown. I quite liked it, if I'm honest. Yeah.
Yeah, it hurts, man.
Got to give the people what they want.
I played that song on loop when I was going to say when Harry Kane departed, but actually it was when I pulled my hamstring trying to get out of bed, reaching the last slice of pizza last night. That was love and pain in the same regard. How are you, Jacob? Good to see you, my man.
I'm too blessed to be stressed. Thank you for having me. I'm feeling good. Got my Taco Tuesday shirt on. You know how I like to do it out here in the dry desert. It is Taco Tuesday, but I will be having pizza tonight. In case you were wondering, you said you were stretching for the last slice. I'm gonna be doing that tonight for sure, 100%. But I want to say also, Sean, congrats. I don't know if you hit it today or yesterday or what, but congrats on the 15K. I want to give you a little.
I haven't hit it yet, mate. I haven't hit it yet. I'm at 14. I know it looks like I've hit it.
No, it says 15K on my end, so I'm saying congratulations. It's just a matter of time. So I'm going to say, everyone in the chat, big up, Sean.
No, but like I'm really about 500 off, 450 off, because some donut launched 500 subs my way and jeopardized my channel. So I'm not celebrating it. And unfortunately, I'm never going to know, like now forever, there's no milestone that I can hit where it doesn't feel dirty. So I have to wait until I get to 15.5K. Who celebrates 15.5K, bro, apart from this guy?
Well, maybe that'll make you a little bit more humble going forward. But either way, congratulations is in order. I recognize the hustle, as do the people. And I think it's proven out. So I'm just happy for you, man. Mate. Much deserved, much deserved.
No, I love you, buddy. I love you. Listen, man, we got a lot to talk about. We've got lots to talk about today because I've got some questions. It's a little bit about tactics in the transfer market, tactics on the pitch. We got some people. I see Henry in the background. I'm going to bring him in. What's happening, Henry? How you doing, my man? What's crack-a-lacking?
I'm good, mate. I'm good. I hope you're both all right. Another day in the Spurs world.
Mate, do you know what? I was thinking about songs earlier because I've already done Paloma Faith, and like last week, you phoned me twice a day, 3 times a day, sometimes every day. I haven't had a phone call from you this week, and I feel like, you know that song by D12, how come you don't even call no more, and we don't even ball no more, we don't barely stay in touch.
Yeah, I do know that song,
and I don't even feel the same hug when we hug no more. I don't know what's going on. Where's the love, bro? I miss those phone calls. I miss
what a
them.
Classic. Good reference there, Sean. Wow, that transcends nations there.
D12, my man, D12.
I've been working, to be honest with you, working and obviously videos and all that. Probably the same as you.
Yeah, a little bit. Listen, we've got loads to get through. Let me say hello to a couple of people just super quick. I'm going to skip past all the non-members, not because I don't love you. I love you all, but I've got lots to talk about, and we've only got like an hour. There's 225 people in the house already. Smash the like, because you know what to do. You know the rules. 50% ratios, bare minimum. Effing hell knows it. Effing hell knows it. 50%. We're on the ratio. Not 50 Cent. He was part of D12, I think. Not 50 Cent, 50%. Okay?
50 Cent was not.
What we got to do here?
He was not.
Oh, he was not?
He was
okay.
not. No.
Oh, okay. Well, whatever. Yeah, it was close.
He was a part of G Unit for the record.
Okay. Well,
D12 was like Royce the 5'9", Eminem, and
Proof, Bizarre.
Yeah.
How many of them are still alive?
There's a couple more that I can't remember their name. I think only Proof is dead. Only Proof. I don't know if Bizarre is still out there kicking, but only Proof has died.
Sorry to hear that about him.
R.I.P. Proof.
And R.I.P. Proof indeed. Listen, look, check out Effin Hell, right? He's got the ratios correct. As the game goes on, as the hour kicks in, those ratios should be going up. So we should be right now on 125 min, and we should be going up from there. You know the rules, guys. We don't ask you for anything apart from paying the rent. I do want to say hello to Scooter Reacts, big up Scooter Reacts, and to Daniel Borden, the members of the show. And I think that's all the members tonight, because I think everyone else is, I don't know, maybe sick and tired of looking at Tottenham content. I'm the last man before Jacob takes over. We send the stream after this one all the way over to America. The Americans then take over for your night shift. But listen, I got a lot to ask you guys. The first and foremost, Zeddy's coming in with a statement that I was making earlier on. So I said, I think it went under the radar on Sunday. I think Emerson Royale got a hell of a lot of criticism that he didn't deserve. Was he perfect? Of course not. But I think that the tactical instruction was to play him as a double six, suck him in, and then consequently you put Ollie Skip a little bit further wide. If you're going to do that to try and gallop and control the midfield and win the midfield battle, which we absolutely did, there's going to be consequences when you put it over the top. But Ollie Skip got away with murder, in my opinion. Zeddy's saying, actually, he saw it as well. I want to start with you on this one, Jacob. Did Emerson get a hard time in the analysis?
I think a little bit Emerson's inability to stay 100% focused was exposed, in my opinion. But I think when you score a goal, you make up for whatever. If you have an error that led to a goal and you go down to the other end and you bag a goal yourself, to me that kind of negates that error, in my opinion, because as defenders you are going to be judged by mostly what you don't do correctly. So for Emerson, I think it was a little bit of he's always going to be judged harshly. There's always going to be people. He's never been the guy that everyone has a lot of faith in, even as someone like me who's more, I would say, medium rare on how I cook my Royale with cheese. But some people, they go really hard on Emerson Royale. But in my opinion, he's the best right back that we have on the roster. If you're looking at who can actually defend, because Pedro Porro, as we know, there's a simple way to beat Pedro Porro 100% of the time. Run in behind him, send a ball over the top. He won't be able to find you. So I think Emerson Royale.
Yeah, but I'm not saying whether he's the best, because I think I'd agree with you. He is the best right back we have, but that doesn't mean that because he's the best, we should go easy or light on him or hard on him in his performance. I just think that on the day, his performance. First of all, he's not that fast, right? And you've got players like Rico Henry, flying down, who can run the 100 meters in 11 flat. And you got Whistler and Mbuemo to compete with. I just feel like the instruction by Ange was like, if we're going to have to sacrifice some space, it's going to be over there. And I just feel like some of that wasn't baked in to the kind of analysis. Henry, what was your take on Emerson Royale on the day?
Look, he got absolutely skinned by their left back. And you can't necessarily blame him for being outpaced. But if you're a defender coming up against someone else who you know is quicker than you, how many times did Thiago Silva get beat in a race? He doesn't, because he stays off of them and then times his tackle. I'm not comparing Emerson Royale to Thiago Silva, who's an absolute Rolls Royce, but him scoring the goal I don't think makes up for the amount of defensive errors he makes. And yeah, he's harshly treated. Don't get me wrong, he's going to be. He's not a Kyle Walker. He's not a Trippier. He was essentially a panic buy who he made and then has kind of been fitted in. Is he even a right back? Is he a centre back? Is he a midfielder? I don't really know. But the big concern about Emerson Royale is his positioning is absolutely atrocious. And in that one-on-one where you could see, was it Rico Lewis?
Rico Henry.
Rico Henry. When he gets the ball, Rico Henry, Emerson Royale is actually in front of him, right? That would have been right there the case where you make a tactical foul, but he was already on a yellow card.
Right. So you can't make the tactical foul then.
You can't. So you've already shot yourself in the foot. But the problem, the big problem we've got in our defence is there is not a voice there whatsoever, mate. If you're a vocal centre-back, you're telling Royale he doesn't get past you at all today. If he gets near you, you do a tactical foul. You stand off of him. How many times did the great fullbacks like Ashley Cole get absolutely spun week in, week out? It didn't. Because his positioning is spot on, and that's Royale's downfall. It's great.
think
Him
position-
scoring a goal covers up and he's paper over a lot of the cracks.
Okay, so what did you give him out of 10 for his performance, including the goal?
6.5.
Wow. Okay.
Mate, watch it. Go back and watch it.
If the goal wasn't there, you would have given him a 4.5.
5. Why did ask yourself one question, right? Why did they attack down Emerson Royale side, not Udogie side?
Because Emerson Royale was asked to play more narrow than Ollie Skip was on the average positions.
And Emerson Royale is a lot weaker defensively than Udogie is. Watch Udogie. How many times did he get beat? Buemo kept swapping sides.
They didn't go down that side enough in the same vein. When they won the ball back, huh? Why?
Why? Because that side's our weaker side. Sanchez, come on.
Okay, but why did Ange Postecoglou ask him to sit in as a second six then? He didn't ask Udogie to do it. You can't. I think there's a ball goes over the top. Like not being able, like you can't cover. If you're doing the high line, high press, you can't cover all of the area.
No, you can't. You can limit the risks. You can limit the risks and say we are vulnerable. Postecoglou will see that we're vulnerable on a certain side when playing this formation. You're always going to concede goals and you're always going to concede chances playing like this, right? But Postecoglou would have seen where we are vulnerable, right? Like Arteta knows when they play like that, it's great when they've got the ball, but they're vulnerable down Zinchenko's side because he's not strong defensively. So they make caveats for that. Xhaka would come across. Partey would come across. Putting on his Skip.
What I mean. That's why I'm saying Ollie Skip deserved the critique.
Yeah, but he's never going to get that. He's never going to get the criticism because he's one of our own and everyone absolutely adores him. When I think, I'll be honest, 2 goals against Barcelona does not cover up how bad he is.
No, I agree with that. I'm not looking to defend him at all.
That's an error on Postecoglou's part. The only 2 criticisms you could give him is the fact we didn't make a sub until the 75th minute. We should have made a sub earlier, in my opinion. I would have taken Kulusevski off and brought on Solomon, right? Because I think he's a much trickier customer, and in certain times in that second half, Skip and Royale should have gone back into natural positions rather than playing this 3 at the back, 2 double pivot, 3 cam, 1 up front. I don't know, like every single time we play a game, they will target Royale. You watch Rashford.
I know. That's what I spent an hour today telling people, please, when you throw him under the bus on Sunday morning, because you are.
Okay, but then look at Man United, right? You watch how well Wan-Bissaka will deal with Son. I bet you Son doesn't get a sniff because Wan-Bissaka will give him that yard and then straight in for the tackle. Straight in for the tackle. How many times did Van der Ven get beaten? Someone comes towards him, he's closing them down. Royale backs off. Then it's too late, and then they're on the afterburners, and before you know it, we're beaten. Like, he has these games every now and then. He was very good against Jack Grealish last year against Man City. He was very good. But then people use these performances and go, oh, Royale's fantastic defensively. Based on what? Against Barcelona, he was running and diving in recklessly. That is not the sign of a good defender. It's not.
Listen, I'm not. One of my questions is how do we improve the right back spot? I'm not sitting here I'm not going to sit here and suggest that we don't need a new right back. We need depth or an improvement, and there's very limited options. We'll talk about them in a minute. Jacob, like, do you agree with Henry? Like, do you think that? Because I think that Emerson, on the individual performance against Brentford, not overall, not forget about the other games, on the individual performance, I just think he was the fall guy. He was the sacrificial lamb. It was down that area. Udogie wasn't asked to play in the same way. Emerson was asked to give up all that area behind him over his right shoulder. And that's where Henry and those guys took advantage of it. But, you know, you can make the argument that the goal that almost was given away, that when at the end in the start of the second half, when Mbeumo knocked it over the top, that was Sanchez's fault, falling over once again. No one's talking about that. Where was Ollie Skip? I just feel like Emerson Royale, if he's asked to play here, he can't also be there. He hasn't got the pace to turn and defend like an Ashley Cole did, for example. You mentioned.
Well, I think that's why for me, Destiny Udogie occupies those different areas and he's kind of asked to do different things because physically he's different than Emerson Royale. You can't ask him to do the same things. And we saw when you're asking Royale to have that burner pace to get back, he just doesn't have it. I would argue also maybe if we saw a little bit of Christian Romero, more of Christian Romero. Henry, you alluded to not having a vocal leader in the back line. I think that once you have vice captain Christian Romero, a guy who I'm assuming is going to take on this responsibility, and my expectations as a Romero defender goes up on him. So I would like to see more before I really say, oh, Emerson Royale's X, Y, and Z at the right back position. Remember, how many times does he play with Davinson Sanchez to his left in this system this preseason? So I think it's a little bit, I would have liked to see more than 10 minutes of Romero personally, because then we could make a better judgment on maybe we do actually need that right back, or Emerson could potentially have someone there who could cover for him if he is playing a little bit more high and inverted. So I'm not too concerned about Emerson Royale at this juncture. I don't know that necessarily we need another right back, because I don't want to go a whole nother window dancing around with the right back like we did with Poro, like we did with Spence. This is
do you know how much we've spent on right backs trying to replace Kyle Walker?
Oh God, I don't want to know.
It's like over £100 million we've spent on right back.
It's probably the most important position,
and none are better than
right
Serge
back,
Aurier.
Fullbacks generally. Big up, Sabah. Welcome to the show. It's probably like the most important position for most systems. In our system, if you're going to play the high line and you're going to ask one of them to come narrow and kind of try to double up,
then we need to swap them.
For what it's worth, for example, what's that? Sorry.
If we're going to play like that and Royale is going to tuck in, then Skip and we can't play with Skip. It's got to be Sarr.
I agree. I 100% agree with that. But I just think that it's when we're critiquing Emerson Royale, I would also point out I don't think that Bissouma has the performance that he does without the support of Emerson Royale right next to him.
There's always going to be, it's a seesaw. If Bissouma's not great, if he's performing well, then someone is essentially changing their game to suit Bissouma. I just think Emerson Royale, mate. Sabah said to me earlier what he watched the game about. I went on to, as soon as we finished my stream, I went on to YouTube, and there was a highlight clip. Watch how Royale faces up a winger. He doesn't. You're a defender, right? I'm not a professional footballer. I'm not a coach. You side on. You force them out wide. He backs off, and they're around them. He never goes and puts the foot in. Van der Ven had 2 training sessions with us. How many times did he get beaten?
Oh, Van der Ven was extraordinary. He's built my confidence. Let's move on. Let's move on from Emerson, because there's so much more to talk about. I do want to come back to the right back situation though, because I do think that because I agree with you guys. If you guys are being a little bit more intolerant, I guess, of him, I still recognise that we've got a massive problem. Sabah, let's stick with it. If you don't, I know how both of you and Henry feel, obviously. Who would be your right back of choice if you could go in there and get someone? Do we have enough time? Do we have enough money? And do we have enough space in the squad to go and get like more than just one defender, a centre back, which is clearly necessary, and a right back? Or would you go and get someone who can play both? What would you do if you were in charge of the purse strings right now?
I don't think it will be done this window. I think that it's probably far down on the list. This is the problem. When you run so badly and you've got so many things that you need to address in one window, I think he'll make do. You know my feelings on it. I would definitely upgrade that area. I think it's one of the weakest areas on our pitch. I think he's a very, very bad footballer and a very bad defender. But I feel like it will be something that's done further down the line. Look, it's important. Like I think you called it right there, Sean. This is an important position within the team.
So important,
because you've got Van der Ven with his pace now. Adogie's got his pace. And those two will use that pace more often than not to get them out of trouble. I'm not saying they're not good players, but they'll use their pace.
Yeah.
Emerson Royale doesn't have that. So once he gets caught out, you're done.
Yeah,
so I do think it's an issue. Is it the biggest issue for now? No. I think somebody, we'd be looking at players like Singo, like Trippier. I even like some of the players that are less fanciable teams in the Premier League. Like I've always said, I'm a fan of Kenny Tete, that plays for Fulham. Whenever I watch him, I don't feel like many left wingers get a lot of change out of him. So for me, I think we need someone like that. But it's not. I don't feel like that is now. I feel like DM. Oh, I'm saying that. I mean, we've not heard any noises from Postecoglou to that effect, but I think centre back DM forward, I think, are the three key parts. And then moving forward after that, I would look at another right back and then another wide man, and I'd grow the team like that.
I'm actually going to use that as a perfect pivot because I've got a question here for you around, and I'll stay with you on this one, Sava, and then I'll come to Jacob and then to Henry straight after. Has the first week of the Premier League, what we've seen from Tottenham, what we've seen from the players in our squad, but also like elsewhere in the Premier League, has week one changed your opinion on any significant outcomes? It doesn't have to be within Tottenham. It might be that maybe we don't need a 6 as much as we now need a forward, someone more creative. Or it might be that, I don't know, that Newcastle are top 4 and Aston Villa are not quite as strong. Has anything changed on your after week one that makes you kind of go, oh, I didn't think that was going to be, but actually now I think this way?
No, I don't think so. I think it's so early to tell, isn't it? I mean, if we go back to last season and look at week one performances, lots of people like Man United getting absolutely battered at home by Brighton, then losing to Brentford, and then went on this amazing run after that. So it's really difficult to tell. Spurs are normally quite good in week one of a new season as well. No, I'll be honest, quite a boring answer. From a Spurs point of view, I've not seen anything that doesn't make me think that we still need to strengthen in certain areas. And from other
the priorities are the same though. You still think a 6 is more important than a right back or a left back or anything else? Yeah?
I think to play this formation. Listen, first of all, I see a lot of people saying that Basuma can play the 6. I'm not doubting he can play the 6. I just think you take away from so much of his game if you limit him to a 6. I want that bloke in the middle of the park as my number 8. Right? I want Maddison as my 10, him as my 8, and I want a proper number 6 that sits there and does a number 6 job. So for me, yeah, nothing's changed. I still don't think that the wide men are right for this particular formation. I still think that we need another centre half because straight away we've seen it in game one. The scenario all summer, Sean, was if we only bring in one centre back, then you're back to Sanchez or to Dyer. Yeah. And then we've seen it within 12 minutes of the first game of the season.
Yeah.
You're like,
and he might be missing for the Man United game because he's got a concussion.
Right. So I think we definitely still need a DM for me. I think there's been many that have gone this window that we've probably missed out on. And I think we definitely need another forward player. I want a forward player I want an unpredictable forward player. I feel like we've got a lot of predictability in that front line. I'd like someone slightly different. Maybe someone with a bag of tricks. Maybe someone that doesn't mind going right or left or having a dig from 30 yards and just something different for me.
And that's one of the reasons why I was going to ask if you guys have felt differently. Because Jacob, I remember you were on the stream with Sava and me. I think it was a couple of weeks back. We were talking about the benefits of unpredictability, and we were talking about our midfield 3. And actually, when you had the front 3 with Harry Kane as a part of it, there was an unpredictability. There was the options. You could have a Decky in one game on the right with his strength and his shouldering. Then you could have Solomon. You have Sonny Perisic on the left. Solomon could dip in there, and you could mix things up in the front line. To me, I think Sab was absolutely bang on. The second half, especially of that game on Sunday, we looked the epitome of predictable. Everything was rinse and repeat. You go to the left, you recycle it, go to the right. 80% possession is great, but if you don't do anything with it, it's pointless. Does anything change from what you've seen this week? Does anything change in your mind?
A little bit for me, Sean, is just the fact that I think Brentford were very well put in their shape, and they held their formation pretty well the entire second half. They were comfortable sitting back, letting us pass around the ball because they knew we weren't going to break their lines, and we saw it the entire second half. It was just nothing, and I think it was a lot more boring than the first half. So when you look at the way that Brentford came out against us, I do feel like there is some credit that needs to be given to them to make the inability in the second half of our attack look so blatantly obvious as a whole in our formation right now. So I don't know if that's a Richarlison problem, if that's a Son problem, Kulusevski, or an all three. For me, if I'm putting blame, I'm putting it equally on all front three, just like I am with Richarlison. The same way I am with Son. I would have liked to see. I think Henry mentioned seeing some substitutions a little bit earlier on. I would have liked to see more and early because Solomon didn't get a look in. We saw a little bit of Perisic. If Sonny's not working out there on the left, I know he's the captain, but we have two vice captains, and I think that's that part of that accountability for him. If you to say to him, hey, if you're not playing well, we're going to bring someone else on. I think, 75th minute is a good time. It's earlier than maybe some previous managers would have done a substitution. So I'm not too upset with it, but I just would have liked to see more. Let's see some more when it's not working, when they're hard to break down. Maybe we need some fresh legs to break down their shape, because you saw there was just 5 dudes sitting in the box. What are we supposed to do with that when our whole thing is to create for whoever's there in the middle, whether it be the Madison, the Richarlison, or the Son or Kulu cutting in? So it's really hard for me to put too much blame
sorry,
on
mate.
this.
Sorry, isn't that what their job is, though? Right? Like, isn't that what Man City face week in, week out? Arsenal face week in, week out. Liverpool do. That is the job of Kulu and Son and Richarlison, to find a way to break that down, to be inventive. And doesn't that where their predictability shows?
I agree. But the fact that there's only one time that I can remember Son got a touch inside the box, and his first touch admittedly went to the defender. He did not corral the ball. He didn't do well with his first touch. And I was just like, dang, I wish you would have done better there. But then I'm also thinking it would have been nice if he had maybe 3 to 4 touches inside the box. And then I can say, okay, your first touch is definitely off, Son. Because for me, if you're not getting a goal at the end of the day, then like the whole possession, all them passes, what was it for? So I agree with you, Sava. They do. It is their job to be better in those positions and to break them down like that. But do we have enough quality to break down these, top 10 table teams? Apparently not.
Let me ask. I'll move the conversation, Henry. Moving on. I don't know if you agree with Jacob. If you do, I think we all agree that there was lack of creativity. Does Harry Kane being in that team get us the 2? Are we already 2 points down from selling Harry Kane than what we would otherwise have been?
100%. With Harry Kane, we win that game because we would have played to his strengths. We didn't play to Richarlison's strengths, which is running in behind. Richarlison's not good enough to play against a back 5. He's just not. It's the first time we played a back 5 in over a year. Brentford set up a back 4.
Is Richarlison better suited against Man United? Because he's going to have space.
They'll leave more space in behind because they play a higher line with Martinez and Varane. The problem with Man United is, as I said before, talking about this front three, Wan-Bissaka will completely lock down Heung-min Son. Right? I'd put a bet out there right now to anyone that Son doesn't get past Wan-Bissaka more than twice. And if he does...
He doesn't get past anybody anymore, mate.
This is the point. So if Son's not working out on the left, this is when Postecoglou's got to think, right, that's not working. And he's the sort of manager that he'll hook him early or move him into the middle, right? Richarlison against Varane and Martinez, he probably will get more. He'd get more chances, 100%, right?
But if you put Sonny in the middle, everyone that's making this argument for move Sonny to the 9, Sonny can't head the ball.
Right, so you play to his strengths. You play the ball in behind.
How many header balls did we present in any way for Richarlison, who's allegedly pretty good?
And we got Harry Kane in the box. We play to his strengths, which is his heading ability. So we cross the ball a lot more. We don't play the ball in behind for Harry Kane, do we? Because we know he can't beat anyone in the foot race. So we're not playing to our player strengths. The one player that will give us complete unpredictability is Solomon. Because he will, Kulusevski can't beat a man at the moment, neither can Son. But Solomon can. He runs direct at players. He's a tricky customer. And if you're Wan-Bissaka, you're thinking, hang on, I've got to comfortable with that. The offers against Son. If you're Luke Shaw, however, it's a completely different ballgame. For me, I would play an out-and-out number 6. This is just my opinion. And I would play 2 attacking midfielders. I'd play Lo Celso and Maddison this game.
Let me just posit something to you about Decky. Because I made this point. I'm trying to. I guess it's the devil's advocate. Maybe it's shameless or whatever. But I feel like it's important to recognise. Yes, he absolutely was. He didn't do anything on the ball. Neither did Sonny. They were useless in that regard, right? And Decky was entirely predictable. Same thing, literally 15 times on the bounce, gets the ball, tap, 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 tap with his left foot. Then he puts it out there and does this shoulder thing. However, you don't have him on the pitch. He won the ball back 8 times, 8 from 8 offensive duels. He won the ball back. If you don't have him on the pitch doing that, if it was Solomon on the pitch at the time, maybe we created more, but 8 more counterattacks.
People are doing this
over the top.
People are saying, "Oh, but Royale scored a goal." Okay, that's great, but how was he defensively?
No, what I'm saying is, Decky didn't. I agree with people that say that Decky didn't have a good game with the ball at his feet. But when we lost the ball, he won the ball back 8 times. Right, the stats show 8 out of 8 offensive.
We wouldn't have had to win it back if we didn't lose it in the first place.
There we go.
He didn't lose the ball. It wasn't him that lost it.
Oh,
it was
right.
It was Richarlison that lost it 3 times. Richarlison's first touch.
Why could Solomon not have won it 8 times out of 8? Plus,
he hasn't got the strength against that.
Against Barcelona, when I watched him against Barcelona, he was tracking back really, really well and winning tackles and stuff. So, surely.
All I'm saying is that there's a consequence. You are losing. I agree that Decky is not up to scratch with the ball, but you need somebody in that front line who's going to muscle and strong arm and try and fight the ball back. And it's not going to be Sonny. But Richarlison didn't do it. Richarlison didn't.
Yeah, but he did a lot of the dog work in that Brentford game. He was dropping back. He made a few tackles. But the problem is, what we're doing now is we're picking certain parts of players' games. Like people saying, "Oh, but Royale scored a goal," but that doesn't cover up some of the mistakes he made. You know, for me. If we play a front three of Son or Richarlison through the middle, Perisic and Solomon, that creates a lot more problems, a hell of a lot more problems than Son and Kulusevski. Because we both know
for me, it creates a hell of a lot less recovery of the ball up the top.
Yeah, but hang on, aren't we? But this doesn't make sense. Like, why now are we saying the main attribute for forwards is tracking back?
Yeah, I never said the main attribute.
No, okay. So shouldn't we worry first and foremost? Shouldn't we worry about in an attacking formation what the forwards do as forwards? Because Kulu, for me, great. He wins the ball back. Bravo. Well done. You worked hard. Well done. You multi-million-pound footballer for tracking back. But what did you do any time you got the ball? He just did nothing. I'm not going to say awful. He did nothing. Like, he was so ineffective on that pitch that Rico Henry
as well, right?
Hang on. Just quickly, your namesake, Rico Henry, is probably thinking, "What an easy game that was! What an easy game!" He's not done Rico Henry once. Rico Henry hasn't had a tough time against Kulu, and has taken the piss out of Emerson Royale all game. Like I feel like if that right hand side is weak. That double down the right is weak. I don't care if they work hard. It's weak.
Weak on the ball. We say work hard. I'm not saying just like getting back and tracking back and being involved in the defense. I'm giving Decky the plaudits for thwarting 8 times that if he hadn't have done it, who knows what would have happened. But you can make the assumption that a significant proportion of that would have been lumped, just like the other times that they were, over the top into Emerson's channel. Against Manchester United, if you can restrict Rashford to 2 or 3 opportunities, then hopefully you're only going to concede 0 or 1 goal. If Decky's not on the pitch, I can foresee 6 or 7, 8 more times that ball gets put down over the top, and then Tottenham then have to rely on Emerson Royale. So I'm just making the argument that if you guys are terrified of Emerson Royale's defensive frailties, then to not have Decky on there stopping the amount of times that he has to defend, I think that you're going to you might have a little bit more creativity going forward, but you're also going to sacrifice a lot more vulnerabilities at the back. I just think that that's something we have to keep in mind.
You have to take each side of it. Like for me, the way I watched Man United's midfield yesterday, right, this is the way I would have our midfield is I'd have Basuma at the 6, and I would play both Lo Celso and Maddison. Because
I agree. Man
United could not live with Gomez, Nunes, or Cunha. They could not. If Wolves had a goal scorer, they'd have won that game 3 or 4-1, right? They hit the post. If it was a fully fit Pedro Neto, he scores that chance. It's his first game of football in a year?
He looked fantastic.
For me, Maddison and Lo Celso, with the energy they've got, they will get past Casemiro. They will create chances, but this is where we actually need to play with actual wingers, because yes, Son might not get past, but eventually with with him making that run, he keeps Wan-Bissaka busy. Then you've got the Celso and Maddison running in. If we play with just Maddison, they're going to tell Casemiro, look, you sit on him, you take him out the game, you stop Tottenham. But then you've got other runners like this. So I don't think that the Sarr or Skip in an 8 role, if Basuma does play there, offer us enough. Man United yesterday in midfield were terrible. The only thing we've got to worry about is on the counter, because they will start Sancho up front. So they're going to have Sancho, Anthony, and Rashford. Now that
terrifying pace. Terrifying pace.
But that's where we've got to, there's good and the bad. If we're going to be fantastic going forward, and we get a 2-goal advantage, then we can completely change our game. However, if Man United get an early goal from Rashford, I don't expect us to sit back like we did on Conte. I expect us to come flying out.
Henry, isn't it all a knock-on effect, right? Like when people are sitting and defending Emerson Royale, the fact that we need to play a winger that's best, that their best attribute at the moment is tracking back to cover how bad that fullback is actually defending, doesn't that answer the question about whether or not we need a new right back urgently? Like,
why not play Porro on the right?
I mean, he can't defend, can he? Oh, do you mean right wing?
But like this is how bad you're spot on. It's that bad. We need a right back that Kulusevski's having to make 8 or 9 recovery tackles. That is.
But the ball was lost when those they weren't recovery tackles. Sorry, they were.
So it was just. I don't know. I didn't.
Final third of the pitch. We lose the ball because Maddison's misplaced it to Richarlison. The ball's come in from Sonny on the left. No one was at home. They get the ball. They're looking for that chance to pounce and by the way, their transitions were like that. But Kulu Deki got in and stopped it, 8 times. All I'm saying is that without them happening, 8 more times you get balls into the corners. And again, I'll stand by the point that Emerson Royale in that scenario, when we've just lost the ball in that quick transition, he is not in the right back role. He's standing right next to Bissouma, who's a little bit further forward. Ollie Skip is further right. So I just feel like
in the past we've seen Christian Romero cover that space for Emerson Royale when he tucks in too deep like that. And defensively, we've seen him cover those areas. At least in the preseason, I've seen Romero occupy those areas. I'm wondering if all of this has something to do with the fact it was Davinson Sanchez at the right center back, because Davinson Sanchez, for the past in the preseason, he played on the left side. We were mostly toying with him there on the left. So I'm not too worried about Emerson.
And by the way,
defensively.
you're absolutely right, mate. Sanchez was caught out. Sanchez was the reason why 2 or 3 of those opportunities happened by his positional play.
But please, the worrying thing for me is when we're saying, like when you're saying, Jacob, you're not worried about Emerson Royale defensively. Please, go back and watch just 2 moments in the game. 2 moments in the game to allude to Henry's point earlier that him and I discussed, right? If you watch the goal, right? The goal that deflected off Van der Ven, and B, watch the chance that Mbeumo blast over the bar from about 6 yards, where let's be really honest, he should have tucked that away, right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
If you actually watch both of those bits of play with Emerson Royale defending, Emerson Royale, first and foremost, is about 10 yards both times. When the wide man gets the ball, he's 10 yards away, which is criminal in itself. Whether or not he's told to do that or not, it's criminal. You should not be 10 yards away from when your winger receives the ball, right? Surely we can all agree on that, right? You've got to be tight. Second of all, both times were a carbon copy. Both players went past him because his body shape is terrible. As to Henry's point earlier, it's not just that they got past him. It was that as a fullback, you show your man. He's square on. He's like that. You can run past that easily. Side on. Good fullbacks go side on. And the man finds it really difficult to get past you and whipping across. That's when I look at it and go, both times Rico Henry made Royale look defensively.
Did you see Darwin Núñez?
Bad.
Did you see Darwin Núñez running at Thiago Silva? Now, everyone knows Darwin Núñez has got the beating of him for pace every day of the week, twice on Sunday. But he goes on his side and goes straight in for the tackle. None of this, let's let him run at you. It was exactly what
mate. in the scenario that Sava's talking about, if you actually look, I think I've deleted them, but I took the screenshots from the footage. Davinson Sanchez loses the ball in the challenge. Davinson Sanchez is on the floor. The ball immediately gets put over the top. Emerson Royale was not supposed. He was defending, but he was more narrow. We had the ball. Sanchez lost the ball. Janelt gets the ball and immediately just launches it over the top. And I've got the screenshot. Maybe I'll find it if I can in a minute. But as soon as the ball is hit, Rico Henry's already running. He's already started the run.
He's already on the afterburner.
Anticipated it. Emerson Royale is 3 yards further inside because he's just given the ball to Sanchez, who then lost the ball. So, like, I don't think there's no opportunity when in that scenario when you're already facing the wrong side, caught out of possession, caught out of position, and you're slower than the guy who's sprinting into
both of those occasions he got close to the man, and for me it wasn't the bit that he was out of position. For me, I think that's bad anyway, but he's out of position. For me, it was both the times when it gets to the crunch. Everyone knows this moment in a game when a winger's facing up against a fullback and you're thinking, right, what you got? Can you beat the man or not? Both times, if you look at Royale's body positioning, he gets himself back into a position where he can defend it. And both times, his body positioning, Rico Henry just goes, see ya, because he's not good enough defensively. The thing is, I think when people look at defenders now, for some reason, we've stopped looking at their ability to actually mark properly. We've stopped looking at their ability to be side on. What we do is we say, oh, but they're good going forward, or they come and help out. That's great, but you're going to see it again. You're going to see Rashford target Emerson Royale again. I can guarantee the game after, Bournemouth will use whoever their left-sided player is to target Emerson Royale. Then Liverpool will. It will be what it is.
Well, that's the thing for me, Sava, why I said I'm not that concerned about him defensively, because I feel like this is the style of play that we're going to be looking at. We're going to concede goals. We know we're going to concede somewhere, whether it's the right, the left, down the middle. That's going to happen. We're going to get caught out of position. So I feel like for me, yes, he can always be better defensively. I've never really rated Royale. I just rated his improvement that he's had since he's been here. That's what I rate from him. So the fact that he's our best defensive right back that we have at this moment, I think I'm just not too concerned because I know we're going to concede goals. I know that it's coming, but the thing is we just need to, at the end of the day, if we concede 4 goals but we score 5, it doesn't matter. We won that match in my opinion. So this is the part of the process I think we're going to go through where we're going to have holes defensively. Obviously, right back long term, we need to solve this position. But Henry, we were talking about it before you got here, that how much money have we spent at the right back position, and none of them are even better than Serge Aurier. I'm just worried that we spend more time on that. We have other holes that we still need to fix. Emerson Royale, yes, January next summer we need to look at something.
Yeah, but the thing is, Jacob,
we've got no one behind him, Jacob. Right? Like if Emerson Royale is as bad as Sava and Henry think he is, or even as bad as I think he is, which isn't quite as bad, I think there's more context to it. But in any event, I think we all agree that he ain't perfect by a long stretch, and he is our number one right back. Behind him, we don't have a right back.
Yeah,
we have
that's the worry.
So what do we do? Like, we can all agree that, like, for me personally, like I say, I don't want to throw as much blame on him, but I completely acknowledge that he's nowhere near the finished article and he's lacks in so many places. What do we do in that position when you also know that we need another centre back, at least one more centre back? Sava makes the argument. I've been making it all summer about the 6. I'm a little bit less worried about the 6 now that I've seen Bissouma do it. I think Bissouma surprised me to the upside. We definitely need forwards. So you can make the argument you need at least 4 new players in the next 2 weeks, 3 weeks to give us at least some.
Why can't... The problem is, in theory, we should be able to go get those 4 players in the next 2 weeks.
But we've got 10 players too many in the squad already, mate.
Like,
Can I just ask, when everyone's talking about negativity, why is it whenever YouTubers actually have a discussion about tactics, about how to improve, where to improve, it's called negative? Like, I don't get it. We'll get onto all the cool stuff with Basuma and Maddison and all that, I'm sure. But at the moment, we're trying to have a detailed discussion about tactics and defensive ability.
We're on stream like 4 or 5 hours a day, some more, some less, every day. You have to go through the good and the bad and the ugly, you know?
Just madness.
Like look at. I know people are going to stray straight away. We're not Chelsea, right? and the way they're structuring their fees, they haven't actually spent 800 million in 3 windows. They've done it over 8 years, right? But Chelsea, since we sold Harry Kane on Friday, the deal was done Thursday. He was a Bayern player on Friday. They've signed Lavia, Casado, and just agreed Elise. All I'm asking for in my life,
it's obscene.
all I'm asking for in my lifetime is the Tottenham just to show that level of ambition. Mate,
how are they getting it done? We're having this conversation on the Irish.
They're actually profiting, Sean. They're profiting.
They're profiting.
That's insane.
What do you mean? What do you mean the
The way they've structured their
did anyone watch Simon Jordan? He did a 12-minute talk on
watch it.
How, honestly, it's brilliant. Watch this video and it all makes a lot of sense, because a lot of people were saying, oh, Chelsea this, FFP this. And a fan called in and said, a fan sent in a question and said, can you please talk us why Chelsea aren't foul of FFP? Simon Jordan spends 12 minutes explaining it, like, of how it works. And it was actually, it made sense.
In terms of FFP, like, listen,
it's risky in the long run though if it doesn't pay off.
When you sell players, that money gets put onto your books immediately. When you buy players, you can amortize it. So from an FFP point of view, especially when you've got youth players you're selling, there's absolutely, it's perfect. It's 100% pure profit on that level. So there's no issue there. But I'm just talking about the speed of their transactions. Like,
it's ambition, Sean. It's getting it done.
How are they getting it done? Like, do they have
saying, how much do you want
that are working on these things?
Look at us, right? 7.5 weeks to get Van de Ven over the line, and we all adore Van de Ven.
Is that because it's just Daniel Levy doing it?
Yes.
Whereas Chelsea got Bowley in about 7.
Look at West Ham. West Ham, right, in the last week have got Alvarez over the line, right? James Ward-Prowse over the line, and now they're at the same time negotiating fees away for players. West Ham this window have profited over £160 million if Paqueta goes, right? So they're dealing with all these different negotiations and they're doing it. Why does it take Levy? This is the way I imagine our transfer window goes.
Well,
right?
you say that, but like, we haven't just spent 7 weeks doing that Van de Ven. We've also done Ashley Blitz. We've also done Beliz.
Okay, so it took us 2.5 weeks to get an 18-year-old from Blackburn. The problem is we go into negotiations and what we do is we get a sniff of if the player wants to go from the agent, right? Then we speak to the club, and then we just stall for weeks. We just stall. Whereas Chelsea go in and go, how much do you want? The only one that's taking them ages
it's not just Daniel Levy, though, is it? Like, Arsenal struggled for ages with...
there's a difference between...
The Caicedo deal did not take 2 seconds.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Apart from the Caicedo, but look at Lavia. They've just done Lavia in 48 hours.
And they've overpaid. They paid 62 million.
You say that,
but Sean, why do you care about that?
All deals can be done like that if you pay over the odds, right?
Right. But that's the transfer market now. But by the way, I don't think Henry, and I'm definitely not, I don't think anyone's saying that everyone needs to go and act like Chelsea, right? But the difference is they go and get deals done. Right? They go and get deals done. You watch Man City now. Now that Kevin De Bruyne is injured, you watch how quickly they wrap up new reinforcements coming into their team. Right? And that's what these clubs with ambition do. Everyone wants to have a go at Chelsea. Chelsea this, Chelsea that, Chelsea.
No, I'm massively impressed with them, mate.
At least their owner is saying, I want to build a team. I want to go.
Even Arsenal, aren't they? Arsenal are now looking at getting a Timber replacement because he's going to be out for the season. According to Charlie Watts, who's like the Ali Gold in their world, says he's going to be out for 8 months. Arsenal are already looking, right, at getting a replacement.
You'd have to, though, wouldn't you? You'd have to do something with that.
Well, I don't know. I mean, we've had times where Harry Kane's done. He's been out. Well,
last season, if I'm not mistaken, I remember like 2 days after the window closed, September the 3rd, we lost Kulusevski and we lost someone else for Kulusevski ended up being out until November. He came back, came out, came back again, but we lost like 2 or 3 players the second that the window shut. You'd rather lose a player with still space in the window to recover. But I take your point.
I don't think we wouldn't have acted on that, though. We wouldn't have acted. What we would do is we would have just put a square peg in a round hole to worry about it. Look, I just think if I'm to Henry, tell me if I'm reading between the lines. I think what Henry's saying here is it's just about the levels of ambition. And, these other clubs, I'm not saying all of them get every deal wrapped up in a day. Of course not. But these other clubs seem to be able to go into deals and actually like get it done in a timely manner. Yeah, I'm not talking about like deals like for Declan Rice at 105 million. I don't expect those deals to be wrapped up. But we're talking about, Mickey van der Ven was what, 37 million pounds, I believe, or what was it, 50 million euros of add-ons. How long can it take a club like Tottenham with the revenue that we make? How can it take us that long? It's just, and then
it's the risk appetite of our ownership. I've said it the whole time.
Of course.
Say what you want about, I'll defend the business acumen of him a little bit more than others will, but I've always been consistent. Geezer doesn't have the right risk appetite to be a chairman of a football club. He's a property guy. He likes consistent dividend yields and stuff. It doesn't really. The risk side of it's not really for him. Surprising, because Joe Lewis made all of his money in the currency markets as a forex trader. So
in making risks, in taking risks.
This was all he was into, right? And suddenly he goes, "I'm done with that. Now let's take the foot off the gas." Let me just pause for a second, guys. A couple of super chats. There's 750 people in the house smashing for the late time of the day, Tuesday night. Please smash the subscribe on Henry Wright, on Football Heritage TV, and United Spurs of America. All their links are in the title, guys. So if you are watching this, it should take you no effort at all to click on those 3 links. New tabs will open up. Bang, bang, bang. Subscribe, and then come back. Buzz. Also, hit the like button as well. I haven't seen what the likes are on, but I'm guessing the ratio is not at 50%. So there should be at least nearly 400 of you that have hit the like button. We'd really appreciate it if you could. Buzz from Australia. Big up, Buzz. I'm finding it strange at the moment, as Ange used to have Johnson, Juranovic playing wide and not tucking at Celtic, whilst left-back Taylor played in the tuck-in midfield role to give you the extra player. Yeah, look, it doesn't. I'll be entirely honest. It doesn't. His current system, what he's done with Tottenham, does not reflect what Celtic were doing last year. At least with the Emerson right back role, it wasn't the same. But I'm guessing he's just looking at the system and trying to figure it out. We're gonna see what he does, and I think that, like I said it earlier, mate, if he does it against Manchester United, if he does the same tactic against Manchester United, then I think Rashford is licking his lips.
Can I ask a question, Sean? Can I ask a question? Yeah. I think Jacob will probably like this, because I know how much he likes old Romero goat.
Oh, here we go.
I almost feel that if you brought in another centre half, that could play with Romero and Van der Ven, that you could almost have Romero on the right side of the three. For when you're defending, Romero could almost be like a false right back, if you will, because he's got the ability with the ball to move into the midfield, right? And then you've got 2 centre backs next to him, and Adoji doing his thing on the left hand side. I almost feel like that is an option that you could do. I think, imagine he was doing
say it again. So Romero playing right back.
So Romero almost playing as a right back, but I mean, obviously it's fluid. Football formations now are fluid. Romero almost starting as the right back, if you will, on paper for the purposes of Sky Sports.
So like what Man City do, basically.
Yeah. Right. But then when you're going forward, he goes in and does what Emerson Royale's been doing. Adoji does it on the left-hand side. But then what you've got is when the ball goes over the top, you have got an actual, listen, for as much as I've not been impressed with Romero in certain things, he can stand his man up, and what Romero can do very well, I'll give him credit for this, is Romero can go side on and make the guy actually try and beat him. I'm just looking at different ways of playing. Is
he fast enough? Is the consequence?
You don't necessarily need to be fast enough though, Sean, because the way City do it, they've got on the left, I don't think that Akanji's that much quicker than, or Ake that much quicker than Romero.
See, just quickly, somebody in the chat said, take our best centre back and play him out of position, sarcastically like that. I think that, again, this
what you're asking him to do is what Blake's saying, right? Play him as a Pavard role, where he's slightly right back, slightly centre back.
Yeah. Absolutely. And what I'm asking to do is, and what somebody like Postecoglou's got the ability to do is, look at all the other big clubs around the world. They might start with a 4, they might start with a 3, but you look how those defenders move. You look at what Pep's done to John Stones and Kyle Walker. Kyle Walker's no longer just a right back. Stones is no longer just a centre back, right? But when you suggest it at Tottenham, everyone just wants to have a go at you. Like I don't see why that couldn't work.
Sava, it's interesting you mentioned that because the super chat from Buzz, the yellow super chat, it made me think of something that Ange has said in every job that he's held but every job that he's held in his career is, my formations are always going to change. Players and their roles are always going to change. I want players who can play in multiple positions. So like you're saying, Sava, it's not completely out of the realm of possibility that we could see someone play in a slightly similar position to where he is, because think about it, he's covered for Emerson Royale on that right wing spot in play whenever Royale's too far ahead, so he's not foreign to the position, and I like him. I'm not against it. I'm always for, you know me, Sava, I'll always be in on anything.
Can I just say that, by the way, when I've said that, right, I'm thinking about it for people that actually have critical thinking in their mind. When people just hear, I'm saying it.
We're doing it again, aren't we?
If the only thing that people heard there was right back, listen to what I actually said.
Yeah, because
it's almost like a false right back, right side of free, almost like what Man City do, where John Stones can go into that midfield. Yeah, John Stones can pull out wide if he needs to. He can go into that midfield, but he drops back in. We need to stop being worried. And I'll tell you what. Sorry, let me just quickly tell you this. I messaged you about this today, Sean. Today, I watched the documentary about Burnley, about from the moment they got relegated to bringing in Vincent Kompany, and it was brilliant. He watched. By the way, Lynch 616. I know the problem is all you heard was not a centre back, and then failed to listen to the rest. Vincent Kompany, when sitting around that boardroom, guys, with all of the board of directors talking about players they want, they turn around and said to him, so what formation is this? Vincent Kompany said, don't worry about the formation. This is more about the philosophy and the identity of how we play and the players I need to play it. He said, don't get so bogged down on 4 at the back, 3 at the back, 5 at the back, 3 in midfield. He went, top players can move around. And that's all I was suggesting.
So that's what Ange said too, Sava.
You're
not the only one.
Forward-thinking and progressive about this football club.
You're not the only one.
I give up.
Ange Postecoglou had said, even at Spurs, he said, I wouldn't pay much attention to what I'm doing in the preseason because everything is liable to change. We could find out in 2 months through the season that what I'm doing isn't working and I'm going to change that. He is a person who embraces change. He's fluid with change. That's why I have so much faith and not so much worry about Emerson Royale out there on the right, because I think Ange is going to see exactly what we're seeing and then some with the new coaching staff that he's got. He's always bringing in, churning in new ideas and philosophies into his game plan. So I like what we're going to see. I think it will be a fluid thing, a changing thing. I just think for the first at least 3 matches of this season, we're going to see probably something similar to what we saw match day 1, in my opinion, just to see if that can work. But I love the fact that Postecoglou, like Vincent Kompany, like other elite managers say, players need to be able to play out of position and things will change rapidly and at the drop of a hat. I think that that's the most important part for us as Spurs fans to remember. This is not at all like Antonio Conte. So that I think should bring a lot of hope to fans anyway.
I got loads of hope, mate. I think the system is going to figure itself out. I think there's certain games where we're going to be playing against certain teams where, unfortunately, though, the state of the squad, the shape of the squad, there's going to be games where we suit it, and there's going to be games where we don't. Blaine Dev, big up, Blaine Dev, mate. You're always in it, mate. I hope that shirt, I hope that routine you're on, the fitness routine, is working out for you. Big up again. Thank you for the support, guys. F the haters. Why can people not realize that we want to improve? How's that negative? Big up Sabah, Sean, Jacob, and Henry. 100%, mate. Yeah, it's not. There's nothing negative tonight. We're going through our own thoughts on not the negatives, but the kind of the vulnerabilities, I guess, of our system. But I really appreciate that, my man. Jim Jam Pookie saying Jed Spence, what happened with him? Anybody, dude? I think the guy's like unimpressed once again with his effort on the training ground. I think
4 managers in a row.
4 managers aren't interested. 4 managers aren't interested.
Yeah,
4 managers aren't interested in him. Yeah, look, I think he's not going to be there, but I appreciate the super chat. And Rain Man, successful entities don't make the cost accountant their CEO. It's the head of ops, marketing, sales. Accountants are risk averse. Yeah, well, I don't know if Daniel Levy is the head accountant at Tottenham, but I take the point. He is generally
he's probably involved in that decision, though.
100%. Henry, mate, are you? Do you need to jump off, mate?
No, I can do another 5-10 minutes. Not a problem, mate.
All right, yeah, we won't be going for too much longer. I wanted to ask you guys a question. By the way, guys, there's nearly 800 people in the house. It's awesome news. Please hit the like button for me. I'm not even looking at the numbers, but I'm assuming they can be better. So smash it, and then also smash the subscribe links in all the titles. I wanted to ask you guys a question about the front line. I want to pivot to it back to the front line for a minute. To me, the consequences of like Decky, Sonny, and Richie, I don't necessarily feel like the three of them can work together for the reasons I mentioned. Like if you have to have Decky to have some level of, for me, I think it is important to have someone who can win the ball back and fight. Then I think that his predictability needs to be ironed out or compensated for by someone who's more tricky who can beat. So someone like Solomon. If you're going to have someone like Solomon who's whipping the ball in, or a Perisic who's whipping the ball in, then having a Sonny in the 9 doesn't really fit because he can't head the ball. So if you have someone like Richarlison who can head the ball but can't take the ball with his feet because he absolutely can't, he can't trap a bag of cement, then having players like Sonny and Decky at the same time who are going to naturally not get to the byline and cross but come back and whip it back through to Maddison and then look for that kind of intricate pass, then having Richarlison up front is the wrong guy. So I'm asking you guys, like,
it depends though.
What's the perfect three? Yeah,
the way I'd play against Man United, having Lo Celso and Maddison together, that number 8 role, it means we can actually score goals. So you get an extra runner into the box. No one feels particularly confident when you see Skip or Sarr running into the box today. If you play Bissouma, the way I'd play is, right, a lot of people are gonna probably turn out.
Yeah. This is a nice transition for the last topic of the night. How would you set up or go around the houses?
I'd set up the formation would obviously be the 4-3-3, but in possession, right? You go to the back 3, where either Udogie or Royale comes into the midfield, right? So essentially, Bissouma plays as the number 6 in the way I want to play against Man United, but he's not the only person because next to him you've got Udogie, or it's essentially you essentially play a 4-2-2,
yeah,
right. But instead of having 2 DMs, one of the fullback comes in. Then we're going pressing Man United. I think Lo Celso would be better suited to this game because we've got better runners into the box. Lo Celso's is a better goal threat than Skip and Sarr, and probably Bissouma, to be honest with you. He impressed in pre-season, and it offers something different. Man United, if we play anything like Wolves did with our firepower, we will beat Man United 100%.
My friend Michael was mentioning the Lo Celso thing, Henry, but I wanted to ask you, in the preseason when he has been impressive, isn't he playing in that Maddison role?
And that's why I play both of them. I essentially play 2 10s and a 6. But the only downside to that is when we do get countered, we've got to get every decision right. So because we're going to have Lo Celso and Maddison higher up the pitch, we haven't necessarily got a Skip and Bissouma. That's why I'd bring that fullback across. And of a back 3, if Romero's in there, it would be Romero, Van de Ven, and Udogie. But if Romero's not playing, that's when you've got big questions to be asked. Can Sanchez deal with, depending on what side he's on, either Rashford or Sancho? But
I think Sanchez's best attributes is in a foot race, heading back towards goal.
If we smother their midfield, mate, we'll beat Man United. If we smother their midfield. Wolves... Right, I've made one sign all season.
I said it earlier, mate. Man United is like I'm going to say.
And they lost their manager.
Man United's midfield last night was like a Swedish nightclub. Too many 10s. Like there were too many 10s in it.
Gary O'Neill.
You can never have too many.
He's been there 5 minutes, right? He's been there 5 minutes. He's had 2 training sessions. In fact, he got made announced manager on the Friday, so he had one or two training sessions. He's gone to Man United where they've only won once in 40 years. Wolves. They've made no new signings. The only bit of good business they've done is pinned Max Kilman down to a 5-year contract extension. So he signed a new deal. And for most of that game, I don't want to say they played Man United off the park. Man United couldn't. And this is a Wolves team that's got no Ruben Neves, got no João Martinho, got new legs in there. But the problem Man United have got is Mount is not strong enough defensively to help Casemiro, which is why they need Amrabat. So on the transition, I mean, Casemiro couldn't. He doesn't have the
Well,
legs.
I think. Is it not more likely that because they haven't got Amrabat, they're just going to start with McTominay to like?
I don't think they will. I think he'll play the 3 in the midfield. Bruno as the 10, Mount as the 8, and Casemiro as the 6. But when we counter them, that
isn't the difference that Wolves though were very happy. Listen, Wolves were excellent, but Wolves were very happy to soak up and counter. Ange Postecoglou's formation isn't gonna be soaking up.
Wolves had a lot of the ball though. They had like
but it was reactive, right? Wolves. There's a difference between having a lot of the ball.
United underestimated Wolves. They're at home, first game of the season. We'll just smash Wolves. Going away to Tottenham, maybe they'll think maybe we need to dominate, especially after that experience. Maybe
United look loose.
Another 8.
That Wolves team had 23 shots at Old Trafford. Man United had 15. And this is a Wolves
team that ever had 23 shots in Old Trafford. You know, it's going to be a while back.
I think that there's definitely ways to get through that Man United midfield. I don't think they've got it right with the whole Mount, Bruno, Casemiro trio. Doesn't work for me. It really doesn't work for me. Then again, they're not my club, so that's not my issue, right? I don't care. That's for them to deal with. For me, I would very much go with. I think you're going to go with the same back 4. Let's hope that Romero is not concussed and can play, because we've got to start seeing that relationship being built between him and Van der Ven.
Mm-hmm.
Listen, I like the idea of Lo Celso and Maddison in the same team. I think you've got to pick and choose who the opponents would be for that to be effective. I think, no offense, please don't take offense to anyone. I think if you're playing Luton at home, I think if you're playing Sheffield United at home, why not? I think in a midfield that contains Casemiro and Bruno, who is annoying, for whatever we think of him, he's annoying. He runs about a lot. He gets in your face. I would put Papa Sarr in alongside Basuma, and then let Maddison go and create. And the only three things I'm not sure about would be the front 3, which I don't think is effective. But I'll be honest, I don't see in game 2 him changing it. I do think it will be the same front 3, whether I like it or not, whether any of you like it or not. I think
what would be your okay? But if you could change it, what would be your front 3? Assuming there's no Orban coming in or anything else.
Then I would put Sonny through the middle. And the reason I would put him through the middle is ask him to keep trying to get behind Rafa Varane, because let's be fair, Man United aren't going to sit 5 men on the edge of their box the same way that Brentford did. And then I would have Perisic on the left. I'd give Wan-Bissaka something to think about. And the thing is with Perisic, I'm not saying he's always great. He can go right or left. And fullbacks hate that. They hate a bloke that can go both ways. And then I would give Solomon a chance out on the right. So I'd go Solomon, Son, Perisic. I'd just like to see it work.
Solomon, Son, Perisic. Wow.
I'd go different to that.
I don't see it happening. I don't see it happening. I'm just saying what I would like to see personally.
I would go Solomon, Perisic, Richarlison. I'd leave Son on the bench and say 60th minute, you come on, or 55th minute, 60th minute, you come on for Richarlison.
Can you ever see that happening?
No, I can't. But
it doesn't matter about happening. It's about how would you do it if you want to.
Perisic is a much better crosser of the ball. He's probably the best. Let's be honest. He probably is the best crosser at the football club. Right?
Him and Maddison.
Yeah, flip a coin. They're both really good. Perisic will be able to play. Will be able to find Richarlison in the box, and I think Richarlison's got probably.
If you're playing Perisic, you can't have Sonny in front of it in the 9. Perisic is a guy who crosses the ball into the air. You're going to need someone there who can head the ball.
I'd rather Richarlison. That's what I'm saying. I'd rather Richarlison than Sonny. And then,
so you're saying to bench Sonny week 2, Henry?
Listen, it's more.
They just got nominated captain, and it's all emotional. He's texting Maddison the night before. Let's go say hi to the fans. And
Son could come on. Son could come on like he did against Leicester. I'm not saying he's going to come on and bang a hat trick, but he could come on, get a goal, and then go a bit of confidence. Then you go in against Burnley away, and he gets a couple more. I don't think. If you look at Son 18 months ago, it's like we're watching a complete.
Who's game 3? Burnley away or is
Burnley away?
It's Bournemouth. It's Burnley, is it? Oh,
it's one of the two.
Okay,
I'll check it real quick.
I thought it was Bournemouth next.
Yeah, sorry, Bournemouth away. Bournemouth away on the Saturday, and you're thinking, hang on, that's a good place to go.
Yeah,
and put Son back in then. Like,
He's not
I don't
dropping.
know,
Yeah,
I'm not-
Jaker's making a good point though. He's not dropping the captain game.
Yeah, of
I think
course
he's
he's
going to
not
give
going
it
to.
3 matches minimum before he
I
starts.
don't think anyone's understood that Henry's just saying what he would do, not what he
Oh,
thinks
I know, yeah,
Postecoglou would
100%.
do.
Like,
Like,
I know the front three he's going to play. He's going to play
Yeah.
that same front three for
He
5
will.
or 6 games because he wants to test things. But there comes a certain point where I'll be honest. I'm not a Son hater. I want Son to do well, but I don't see us getting the 15, 16, 17, 18, 21 goal a season Son
is
playing out on the left in this.
is he
formation.
still one of our best players?
Based on what?
I'm
Best
asking the
footballer at
question.
this club is James Maddison,
No,
without
hang
a
on.
doubt.
I'm just asking you: is he one of the best players at the club? Like for me, he's not one of the first 3 or 4 or 5 names on the team sheet.
Who's this?
I think Sonny. I think at the
I
moment,
think in
for
the
me,
final 30 is.
I think
I would argue.
I think Son starts because his name is Son. I don't think Son starts
100%.
because he's playing well. And
I can't
this-
remember
this
the
is
last
where-
good game that Sonny had. I really can't. remember the
Sean,
last.
fans can't separate emotion from feeling. I'm not saying Perisic is amazing, Solomon's amazing, Kulu's. I'm not saying any of them are amazing, but if you were to line up all of their performances in recent times, none of them have done anything that makes you go, "That's the definite starter." None of them.
None of them
I've
have.
been,
Yeah,
I've
exactly.
been really disappointed with all of them. And he's going to play Son. He's the captain. He's going to play. But if Sonny's name wasn't Son, if that was a brand new player playing the way he was, right?
We'd all be massively unenthusiastic.
Can I make an unpopular opinion?
Hang on. Just quickly. Everyone, every man, woman, child, dog, whatever, would be saying
Frame, door handle.
that guy is not playing well. But because his name is Son, you're not allowed to say it. And I don't understand that in our fan base. He's simply not played well for a very long time. Now, could he turn up at this weekend, grab a brace and get himself back into form? I really hope so. As a fan, I really want him to do that. But I've been wanting him to do that, guys, for a very long time now. And I'm still not seeing it week in, week out. And he's still protected week in, week out for these bad performances.
I just think clinically, Sonny in the box. If I had to pick one person in the box, I think that can curl that ball in there far post or take it underneath the keeper low post on the near side. Honestly, it's Sonny. If you give Sonny the chances that Richarlison gets in the box, I think he puts some of those away, in my opinion.
100%.
So I definitely, in regards to Sonny being one of our better players, I think he still is our best player, at least in the final third. You could say his all-around game. I didn't like the fact that he just hung around that left.
On the left, he doesn't do anything anymore.
Can I make just quickly an
looks like he's
unpopular
going to
opinion?
run at you, and then he doesn't. He does this little kind of like it's like you know when you go 10-pin bowling and you do that kind of like Fred Flintstone. Like,
Is he more important to this
That's what he
team?
does every time he gets the ball, and then he doesn't actually do
Sean,
anything.
let me ask you this. Is he more in? Would you put him in the team above these 4 players? Like if you had to say your first 4 players, not in any particular order, over Van der Ven, Romero, Basuma, and Madison.
No.
Of course, they're in before.
Do you know who I think?
Right, that's how he's regressed.
You doggy at the moment.
That's how much he's regressed.
Even players like flipping Skip at Sarr at the moment. I think, do you know, I'm probably going to get pelters for this and probably clipped up and put out on YouTube channels. But do you know who I think would thrive on that left wing spot under Postecoglou? Brian Hill. He's everything Postecoglou wants. Unpredictable, great on the ball.
How long is he injured for?
2 months. Brian Hill on the left wing spot. He's everything Postecoglou wants. He's technical. He's okay on both feet. He can cross the football. The only problem is
Draw a foul.
The only problem is
he can fall over real
on a
easy. I've
chip.
seen that.
He's never going to win the ball. Well, you know what though? He does fight.
I think
for the
Solomon is the player that everyone wants Brian Hill to be. I really do. I think what you're asking for, Henry, at least the things that I've heard you list in this moment, I think Solomon checks all those boxes and he's ready to go right now. He plays a little bit stronger, I think, than Brian. Brian Hill is a little bit more easy to finagle a ball off
Jay
of.
Cutler diet.
Yeah, the cigarettes.
I've seen more meat on a chip. Genuinely,
Can we be
he gets
honest?
outbarged by the wind.
Can we be honest? If Sonny was playing well, right, and if there hadn't been a massive drop off, these conversations wouldn't be happening. We never had these conversations about Son 2 years ago, right? Let's be brutally honest. There's a reason why conversations happen about certain players.
I mean, 2 years ago he won the Golden Boot. That's true.
No one right now is talking about whether or not Basuma deserves to be in the team. Right?
But they were last year.
Look, they were last year because of your mate Conte. I'm just going to put that out there. But listen, no one right now. No one right now is going to go, oh, what, you don't think Basuma should play? Everyone would. At the moment, you've got a lot of fans, and all I've said is, I know he's going to play, but I'm going to say it, guys. I've said this many times. I'm a bit bored of watching him and Kulu. I find them a bit boring.
It's too predictable.
Very predictable.
Yeah. Just find it
I
boring.
love unpredictability. I talk about it all the time. Yeah, and I completely agree with everyone who's got a problem with Decky on the right. I'm just saying that if you don't have someone, it doesn't have to be him, but if you haven't got someone who can fight for that ball back when you lose it from a silly little touch from Richarlison or a sloppy pass, sloppy cross, whatever, if you don't win that ball back, you're going to face more consequences in the back end. And I feel like Decky is better than anybody else at regathering that ball, and that's not to be sniffed at. It's not his primary purpose, but it shouldn't be sniffed at. And I feel like that is, to me, until we get someone else in there who can fight to win the ball back, then I think that we have to at least have somebody in there, somebody in that front three, because Richarlison doesn't do it. Richarlison just does this all the time, like waving his hand, upset when the ball didn't land on his lap the way he wanted it to, you know.
But he's got a new neck tat, Sean. Clearly, he's on it. He's got a new neck tat. You seen that bad boy?
I have seen his new neck tat. Yeah, I've seen it. Yeah. I mean, I support anyone who wants to get their body painted for the rest of their life with the pictures of players that are whatever. I'm not even going to say it. Good luck.
I mean, I was going to get y'all tattooed on my back along with me, make it do like a Mount Rushmore of Spurs.
Can you get one of my thumbnails tattooed on your back forevermore?
It's tattooed on your shin.
All right, listen, we're going to round off. I was going to give everyone final thoughts on the Man United game. I don't know if we're going to get together again before Saturday. It's a bit early in the week, but and also let everyone know what's happening on your channel. Start with Jacob. I know you've got a show starting in 10 minutes, so I'm going to be redirecting everybody over here to there in a minute. But what's your kind of final thoughts for the Man United game and prediction? And anything crazy you want to say, and also what's coming up on United Spurs of America? Well, I thought it was going to be a very tough match, honestly, but I'm going into Saturday's match pretty confident, honestly, based on what I saw Wolves do. I know they're trying to prove something there for their interim manager. They just got their other manager just left. So, I think United will be better. I think they will be a little bit more compact. They were pretty open and floppy with their passing, in my opinion, and that led to a lot of the Wolves' chances. So I think if they're able to clean that up, then we'll see a more formidable side to play against. But personally, I see this being an end-to-end match, kind of like we saw in the first 45, but I expect it to go throughout the entire 90 because United at halftime, if it's 2-2, they're not going to sit back in the box the way Brentford did, and I know that for a fact. And honestly, Lisandro Martinez, he looked a little bit like a shorter version of a Christian Romero yesterday, whenever it was, and he gave away some dumb fouls and got caught out of position a couple times. And you know what? I think Richarlison, even though my prediction is the 11 will be the same, like we saw maybe a SAR for Skip, and that's it. Outside of that, I don't see much change to the 11. I think it'll be end to end. I'm going to predict what I thought Brentford would be, and I'm going to say a 4-3 win for Spurs.
4-3?
4-3 win for Spurs.
There's going to be goals this year.
Clip it. I don't care. It's going to be back and forth.
Henry, that Arsenal bloke in your chat who wanted to bet me 100 quid, or he gave, he's up to £1,000. I'll give you 3-1 odds that Tottenham are going to. I said that Tottenham might outscore Arsenal. I stand by it. Tottenham might just outscore Arsenal. The only problem is that every other team might just outscore us.
That's the thing. But if you concede 4 goals because of shoddy defense, but you put 5 away at the end of the day, it's 3 points.
There's goals in every game.
We're not scoring more goals than Arsenal, Sean.
I know. Yeah, I'm exaggerating. Jacob, if you want to jump off, mate, because I know you've got to go and get set up.
Big up. Thanks for having me. Sava, Henry, great to stream with you both.
Yeah, take care, mate.
Man. I'll send everyone over to you in just a couple of minutes.
Cool. Appreciate it. Bye.
Cheers, mate. Course. Henry, final thoughts for the Man United game, mate, and then what's the scoreline and what's happening on your channel tomorrow?
United game is going to be tough. I expect us to come out of the blocks at the traps far in early doors. First game at home, 5:30. Not quite under the lights yet because it's still summer, but the atmosphere, the stadium will be buzzing. Everyone will be looking forward to the game. I think.
Are you going?
Nah. No. I'll be doing a watch. So I think genuinely, if United get an early goal, I worry for us. I worry for us big time. However, if we get an early goal, I think we could get a second and maybe a third. I don't think we'll get. No, it's a third. I think we'll win 2-1.
Oh, I think we'll get a fourth.
No, I think we'll win 2-1. I think we'll get an early goal. I think Maddison will get a brace. That's my prediction, 2-1. And I think Romero will play. And I think we'll play like that. I think it'll be a good game, entertaining. It's going to be one of those games where I think we'll score early, they'll score, and then it will be back and forth, end to end, and we'll just catch them out. But it wouldn't surprise me if United win 7-6 Spurs. I'll tell you what. I don't remember the last game.
Imagine the game of all games. That'd be brilliant.
I don't think there'll be more. I think we'll win 2-1 if we do win. But if United get that early goal, I'll worry for us big time. And what's coming up on my channel? Some more Shameless transfer videos every single day. We are going to do a little Shameless plug. We are two subs.
Who was your Shameless story today?
That was about Gift Orban, wasn't it?
Oh, okay, fair enough. Yeah.
We've got another video dropping about him tomorrow if you want to check that out.
I went after Kiri for a hash. Yeah. I realized halfway through my video, I was reading out an article, and the thing I was based on was a story that said if Harry Kane leaves, so it was like at least 4 days old. I didn't realize.
Yeah, don't worry about it, mate. It's already out there now.
It's out there now, yeah. Big up, mate. Thanks for coming on, buddy. And Sava, what's coming up on your channel, mate? And also final thoughts, prediction. What's going to happen in the game on Saturday?
Yeah, I genuinely don't know at the moment. I feel like it's really difficult to judge teams off of one game. I fail to believe Man United will be as bad as they were yesterday. But also, I do think we're going to have a lot of the ball. It's going to be down to, can we put away chances? I think that's what it's going to be down to. I think, again, Basuma and Maddison will run the show. I think they'll show the boys at Man U a thing or two. I think we can win it. I don't think it's going to be this 5-4 that everyone seems to think it's going to be and like 9 goals or whatever. But I do think we can win it. But it wouldn't surprise me if it's a draw again. So we'll see. And then on my channel, just hit 9,750. So I'm exactly 9,751. 249 subscribers away from the magical 10K mark. So if anyone did want to subscribe, that would be appreciated. And just 10 a.m. show every day. And then lots of different videos with different subscribers from different fan bases, transfer videos. Same as you guys, really, just without being as shameless as you two. But hey, each to their own.
I own it. I own the shamelessness. All right, we're going to round it off there. Awesome show. Thank you, Henry. Thank you, Sava. Cheers to Jacob. Everyone in the chat, you've been excellent. Smash the like button on the video on the way out. The subscribes for Henry, for Sava, and for Jacob are in the title. I'm going to end it now, and you're going to get redirected straight over to Jacob, who's just starting his stream. So get over there and smash him some love as well. And I will see you guys all at some point tomorrow, either with a Shameless video or a Shameless stream. Thanks again, boys. Love you guys. I'll see you soon. Cheers, everyone. Good night.
All right, mate.